Okay, so in order for us to get the nice effect that we previously had, we have to play around with the CSS a little bit. The first thing that we need to do is we need to stage what takes place. Currently, this is the staging. This is where the image goes from not displaying to displaying, right? By default, the slide has a display of, we set it to flex, but we actually want it to be of none. So by default, it goes slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and slide 4. But it just immediately pops in. We don't want that to happen. So the first thing we're going to set up is we're going to write some keyframes. All right, so the first one is at keyframes, and we'll call this one slide in. And we'll just say 0% is going to be transform, and it'll be translate 0, 0. And then at 100%, oh, my mistake. Translate is going to be minus 300 pixels for now. We would need to change this at the final step to be the width of the slides. For now, we're just doing this to get a so that we could see the entire process taking place. And so this one's going to be 0 and 0. The second one that we want is we basically want the exact same thing, except we're going to be doing fade in instead of slide in. And this is for the dots so that they have a nice little effect. And what we'll do here is we'll say the background goes from RGBA 255, 255, 255, 0.5 to a background of 0.9. Perfect. All right, now we can get into styling this. So if we go to dot active, we are going to give it an animation. That animation is going to be fade in. The length of time that it will take will be, we'll say 1 second. The what's the acronym? Never dig dirt. I can't remember. There was an acronym that I used to remember how the animation goes. So it's the name of the animation, the duration, then it's the timing function. And for this one, I'm going to use cubic Bezier to give it a nice snap. And for that, I'm going to use the values of 0.7, 0, 0.3, and 1. Next is the delay, which is going to be 0. Next is the iteration count, which will be 1. And finally, it is the direction, which is going to be forwards. And we should see something going on here, and we do see it. Now we have that nice animation going. We're actually going to take these same animation properties, and we're going to apply it to the slide, the active slide. And we're going to switch it from fade in to slide in. And what we get is it starts there and then it slides in. So because of how wide we've placed this, it's not as visible on screen, but you should see it better now. Right? Now, it's looking pretty good. Here's the issue though. Notice how when it slides in, there's nothing remaining there. There's nothing that was there from before. We don't want that. We want the previous slide to be there and the new slide to slide over top. Well, in order to do that, we have to stagger the slides to ensure that there is a slide that is still visible in position there when the new slide comes into play. And there's a cool way we're going to do this. before we get to that, I just want to add some shadow to the slide. It looks a little bit bare. So for the slide, I'm going to add some box shadow. And I'm going to set it at 1 pixel and 1 pixel with 10 pixels of blur and 0 pixels of spread, if I'm not mistaken, and RGB A of zeros black. I think it's 0.3. I think that's good. Now it kind of has a little bit of shadow going on, a little bit of depth. All right, so let's go to the JavaScript. So previously, we didn't really do that much here. We have the console.log, yes, and we have the slides, but in order for us to stagger the steps, we have to make sure that whatever was here previously, so whatever was the value of I, whatever is the value of I before it gets changed down here, we have to make sure that that stays and that is always in place. The way we're going to do that is we're going to do a check. We're going to say that if j is equal to I, if j is equal to I, oh, I seem to be, yeah, I was causing a infinite loop there. Got to make sure. Yeah, if j is equal to I, then we are going to do a couple of things. The first one is we're going to go ahead and say slides.classList, and we're not going to remove, we're going to add, we are going to remove active slide from that specific slide. And we are going to do that, but we also are going to add previous slide. So if you remember in the CSS, we have a class called previous slide, right? It has display flex, but it doesn't have the raised Z index, and it doesn't run an animation. So it should just stay there. It should just be visible instead of being invisible or having no display. Right? So that's the first one. And the next one is we also want to remove the active dot. We want to make sure that that's getting taken off as well. We don't want that to stick around. And instead of slides J, it should be slides. Oh, and that was a mistake. I have to make sure that I do that. And now what we'll get, as you can see, is the previous slide is visible regardless. It'll always be visible there until the next iteration, in which it'll finally disappear. So now we have a two-stage staggered step. And we're basically there. The last thing that I want to do is I want to change the font. I already linked a font from Google Fonts. All I have to do is use the correct term. So if I go here, I want to say the font family is going to be Statliches. I can't really pronounce that, but, and then cursive as the backup. I should get it. There we go. Perfect. So we basically have it done. The last thing that I want to do is I want to increase the size now, since we already finished it. So the first thing is the slideshow is now going to be full width of the viewport. Nice. The height is going to be full height of the viewport. We can keep the background that color, but I'm going to put it to black, or you could not have it non-exist at all. The next step is for the actual slides themselves. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same. 100 view width and 100 view height for the height. And we had that. That was actually kind of cool there. If we if we just have the height being 200 pixels with the black screen, it was kind of cool. Have the slides like that. I'm getting distracted. But you can see how it's very adjustable. There we go. Now, if you look here, it's snapping from in the middle of the page, and that's because we have to adjust the animation as well. In the animation itself, if we go to the slide in, it needs to translate not -300, but -100 view width in order to be completely off the screen, and then slide in. So now you see that the snap doesn't even take place on screen. It just slides in really smoothly. And that's it. There you go. We are where we needed to be. If we go to full page. All right, let's save first. Don't want to mess up all the hard work. Go to full page view. And we're there. We can click to go to any of the slides that we want. Oh, there may be a little glitch here. Let's go back and check it out. I might have spoken too soon. That kind of sucks. So 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, there we go. So there was a problem there. I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. What did I do wrong here? So 4, 1, 2. There. So there seems to be an issue. Yes, of course. For everything else, I need to remove the previous slide. If I added the previous slide, I also have to be aware that I need to remove it for every other slide. So what I'll do is not only do I have to remove the active slide, I have to remove the previous slide as well. And now we should get a consistent flow. Or not. Have I missed something? That is rather unfortunate. I can't believe. Okay, so I missed two things. One is I have to add continue in order so that we don't do everything else. So continue, we're skipping the rest of these steps. If it's the same value, if it's the previous slide, we need to skip the rest of these steps and just do these and skip all of that and then go to the next iteration of the loop. So we should be good now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we go backwards. 2, 1, nice. And 2, 3, 1, 4. Beautiful. Okay. So I jumped the gun a little bit. Gotta save again. But we are there. All right. Thank you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them all down below. And the links are in the description. Thank you. Would love a like. Would appreciate a subscribe. But until next time, keep on coding. I will too.